The palace gates closed at sunset with a sound like final judgment. Iron met iron, echoing through the stone streets, and the city beyond the walls exhaled as if it had learned to breathe without mercy. Merchants hurried home. Guards tightened their cloaks. Beggars scattered into alleys where the wind could not easily find them. All except one. Beneath the western gate's lantern, where the light trembled like a tired heartbeat, a girl lay curled against the cold stone wall. Her name was Elara. She had learned long ago how to sleep lightly, how to keep one ear tuned to footsteps, how to wake before boots kicked too close, how to fold herself small enough to survive the night. A thin blanket, frayed beyond repair, was her only shield against the creeping frost. Her hands were chapped, her shoes worn through at the soles, but her posture carried a quiet dignity that hardship had failed to crush. Every night, she slept beneath the lantern. No one remembered when it started. The guards said she had always been there. The merchants swore she appeared only after winter came early. Some whispered she was cursed. Others claimed she was mad. The truth was simpler. She slept there because it was the only place where the light never went out. Months ago, Elara had been a maid in the household of Lady Varaine, a noblewoman whose smile was sharp as glass. Elara had scrubbed floors until her knees bled, carried water until her arms shook, and swallowed insults as if they were part of her wages. She had done everything asked of her, and more, until the silver went missing. No trial, no proof, just an accusation spoken softly over tea. "Take her out," Lady Varaine had said. "She knows what she did." By nightfall, Elara had been thrown into the street with nothing but the clothes on her back and a name stained beyond repair. No household would hire a thief. No door would open to a disgraced servant. Hunger came quickly. Cold came faster. And still, she did not beg. The lantern by the palace gate became her refuge. Guards tried to chase her away at first, but she never argued, never resisted. She simply returned the next night, silent as a shadow, settling beneath the light like it had called to her. Tonight, the wind was cruel. It cut through the city in sharp gusts, carrying the promise of rain. Clouds smothered the moon, and thunder murmured somewhere far beyond the walls. Elara pulled her blanket tighter and stared at the lantern above her, watching the flames sway but never die. "Still burning," she whispered, more to herself than the light. Footsteps approached. She heard them before she saw him, slow, deliberate, unafraid. Not the heavy rhythm of guards, nor the hurried pace of a drunk. These steps carried purpose. Elara kept still. In the streets, attention was dangerous. A shadow stopped just outside the lantern's glow. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a voice spoke, low and calm. "You'll catch your death sleeping here." Elara opened her eyes. The man stood a few feet away, wrapped in a dark cloak, hood pulled low. Rain had begun to fall, thin and cold, but he made no move to shelter himself. The lantern light brushed the edge of his jaw, the line of his mouth, firm, controlled, and used to pleading. "Death hasn't found me yet," Elara replied. Her voice surprised him. It was steady, not timid, not grateful. The man studied her, clearly expecting something else. "You know this is the palace gate." "I do. They won't let you stay forever." "They never do." A flicker of curiosity crossed his face. He stepped closer, into the lantern's glow. His boots were worn but well kept. His hands bore no calluses. His eyes, sharp, assessing, missed nothing. "Why here?" he asked. "Why not the market streets? The alleys?" Elara shifted, sitting up despite the cold biting through her clothes. "Because here, people have to look at me before they ignore me." The rain strengthened. The lantern hissed softly. The man reached up instinctively, shielding the flame with his cloak so the wind wouldn't snuff it out. The movement was quick, practiced. Elara noticed. "You protect it," she said. "Old habit. Most people don't bother." "They should," he replied. "Light is rare." She looked up at him then, really looked. There was something different about him, something weighed down behind his eyes. Not hunger, not fear, responsibility. "Why are you out here?" she asked. He hesitated. Just a fraction of a second too long. "To see what the city looks like at night." Elara almost smiled. "Then you should look closer," she said. "This is what it looks like." Thunder cracked overhead. For a heartbeat, neither of them moved. From the shadows beyond the gate, a guard's voice called out,
"Boy,
"You there, move along." The man straightened, tension snapping through his posture. The guard approached, squinting at Elara with familiar disdain. "You again," the guard muttered. "I told you, no loitering." "She's not loitering," the cloaked man said quietly. The guard laughed. "And who are you to decide that?" The man turned, and though he never raised his voice, the air shifted. "She's under my protection." Silence followed. The guard stiffened, suddenly unsure. Something in the stranger's tone carried authority, dangerous, unquestionable. After a moment, the guard muttered an apology and retreated, casting one last suspicious glance over his shoulder. Elara stared. "You didn't have to do that," she said. "Yes," the man replied. "I did." Rain soaked through her blanket. The cold was beginning to settle deep in her bones. The man noticed, his jaw tightening. "You shouldn't be here tonight," he said. "And yet," she replied. Another pause. "Come with me," he said suddenly. Her eyes widened.
no."
He blinked, caught off guard. "You didn't even hear." "I heard enough." He studied her again, slower this time. "You don't trust easily." "I trust my instincts," she said. "They're the reason I'm still alive." The wind howled, rattling the gates. Finally, the man nodded. "Then trust this," he said. "Tomorrow night, I'll return. And if you don't, then you'll know I wasn't worth trusting." Elara considered him. The rain soaked them both now. The lantern flickered wildly, but stayed lit. "Why me?" she asked softly. The man looked up at the flame, then back at her. "Because you sleep beneath the light," he said. "And somehow, it hasn't gone out." Footsteps echoed from within the palace walls, many this time. The man stepped back into the shadows. "Until tomorrow," he said. Before she could respond, he was gone. Elara lay back against the stone, heart pounding. Above her, the lantern burned on, unwavering. And high in the palace tower, unseen eyes had watched the exchange from behind velvet curtains. The girl beneath the gate had been noticed. And in this kingdom, being noticed was far more dangerous than being forgotten. Morning arrived without kindness. The city woke to the sound of carts rattling over stone and vendors shouting prices that rose with every passing week. Elara rose stiffly from the ground beneath the palace gate, her muscles aching from the cold night. The lantern above her had finally been extinguished by daylight, its glass smeared with rain and soot, but the memory of its glow still lingered in her thoughts. "Tomorrow night, I'll return." She did not know why the stranger's words stayed with her. Many had spoken promises in the dark before, none had meant them. Still, as she wrapped her blanket and moved toward the market streets in search of scraps of work, she found herself glancing back at the gate. From the highest balcony of the palace, Prince Alaric watched the city stir. He had returned before dawn, shedding his cloak and boots like a second skin, trading shadows for silk. Servants bowed. Courtiers whispered. None of them knew where he had been, nor what he had seen. They never asked. Alaric rested his hands on the cold stone railing, his thoughts fixed not on council meetings or border disputes, but on a girl sleeping beneath a lantern. She had looked at him without fear. That alone unsettled him. By midday, the palace buzzed with its usual performance of power. Ministers argued over tariffs. Noble women paraded new fashions like weapons. Alaric endured it all with practiced detachment, his mind elsewhere. "She should not have survived the winter," Lord Hethrin muttered during council. "The streets breed weakness." Alaric's gaze snapped to him. "The streets breed endurance." The room fell silent. No one challenged the prince again that day. As dusk approached, clouds gathered once more, heavy with rain. Alaric dismissed his attendants early and reclaimed his cloak. When he slipped through the hidden passage beyond the kitchens, his heart beat faster than it ever did in battle. He told himself it was curiosity, nothing more. The palace gate stood as it always did, tall, unforgiving, eternal. And beneath the lantern, she was gone. For a moment, Disappointment struck sharper than he expected. Then he noticed the disturbance in the dirt, the scuffed stone, the faint smear of dried blood near the wall. Elara had not left willingly. Alaric's jaw tightened. "Where is she?" he demanded of the nearest guard. The guard stiffened. "The beggar girl, your sir? Captain ordered her removed this morning. Said she was becoming a nuisance." "Removed how?" The guard hesitated. "She resisted." Alaric did not wait to hear more. He moved through the gate and into the city with long, furious strides, following instinct rather than reason. He found her 2 streets away, collapsed near an abandoned fountain, rain soaking her hair, her breath shallow. A bruise bloomed dark along her cheek. He knelt without hesitation. "Elara!" Her eyes fluttered open. Confusion turned to recognition, and then to guarded calm. "You came back," she murmured. "I said I would." She tried to sit up and failed. Alaric slid an arm beneath her shoulders, steady and careful. "They said I wasn't allowed there anymore," she whispered. "Said the light wasn't for people like me." "Then they lied." Her lips curved faintly. "You sound very sure." "I am." He lifted her into his arms before she could protest. She was lighter than she should have been, her body all angles and fragile strength. She did not struggle, only watched him, searching his face as if memorizing it. "Where are you taking me?" she asked. "Somewhere warm," he replied. "Somewhere safe." She exhaled slowly. "I don't believe in safe." "Then believe in me." The palace guards froze as Alaric approached, carrying a soaked, bruised girl in his arms. "Open the gate," he ordered. "Your Highness." "Now." They obeyed. Whispers exploded the moment he crossed the threshold. Servants stared. Nobles gasped. A girl in rags within palace walls was unheard of. Alaric did not slow. "Summon the physician," he commanded, "and find her dry clothes." Elara tensed. "I don't want charity." "This is not charity," he said quietly. "This is a debt." "For what?" "For reminding me what my kingdom looks like when the lights go out." The physician examined her in a small, warm chamber near the servants' wing. Bruises, malnutrition, exhaustion. Nothing fatal, yet. "She's fortunate," the physician said. "Another night like that, and she may not have woken." Alaric nodded once. "She will stay." The physician hesitated. As my responsibility." Word traveled faster than fire. By nightfall, every noble household knew of the street girl the prince had brought inside. Some laughed. Others fumed. One woman, watching from behind a veil of silk and jewels, felt her blood run cold. Lady Varaine recognized the girl instantly. She should have disappeared. Elara awoke in a bed softer than any she had known. For a moment, panic seized her. She bolted upright, breath hitching, eyes darting. The room was small but clean. A single candle burned on the table. Fresh clothes lay folded nearby. "You're awake." She turned. The cloaked stranger, no, the man from the gate, stood near the door, his hood lowered now. In the candlelight, she saw him clearly for the first time. And she understood. "You're the prince," she said. Alaric inclined his head. "I am." She stared at him, expression unreadable. Then she laughed, soft, incredulous. "Of course you are. I didn't lie to you." "No," she agreed. "You just didn't tell the whole truth." Silence stretched between them. "You could have left me," she said finally. "It would have been easier." "Yes," he replied. "It would have." "Why didn't you?" Alaric met her gaze, unflinching. "Because rulers who ignore the dark do not deserve the light." Something shifted in her eyes then, something dangerous and bright. "I won't stay if I'm a spectacle," she said. "I won't be pitied. And I won't be silent if I see injustice." A smile ghosted across his lips. "Then you'll fit in terribly." He stepped aside. "You'll work in the palace for now. Protection. Wages. Choice." She studied him for a long moment, then swung her legs from the bed and stood, unsteady but proud. "Very well," she said. "But understand this, Your Highness." "Yes." "I survived the streets," she said. "The palace doesn't scare me." Somewhere deep within the palace walls, a door closed softly. And far above them, unseen eyes watched once more, calculating, patient, already planning how to extinguish the light that had dared to return. The palace was beautiful in the way a blade was beautiful, polished, balanced, and designed to cut. Elara learned this within her first week. At dawn, bells rang through marble corridors, summoning servants like obedient ghosts. At night, chandeliers blazed while secrets crept along the ceilings, unseen and lethal. Every smile carried a calculation. Every kindness came with a cost. She was given work in the eastern wing, far from the prince's chambers, close enough to be watched but not close enough to be protected. The other servants studied her the way prey studied fire, curious, wary, resentful. "She's the street girl," they whispered. The prince carried her in himself. Probably his new indulgence. Elara kept her head down and her ears open. She scrubbed floors until her hands cracked anew. She carried linens twice her weight. She accepted silence as currency. And slowly, she noticed the patterns. Which corridors emptied after dusk? Which doors were locked too carefully? Which nobles passed messages not through servants, but through gloved hands and lowered voices? The palace had tried to break her once before. It would not succeed again. On the 7th night, Elara nearly died. She had been sent to deliver a tray of spiced wine to the lesser banquet hall, a simple task, meant for novices. As she lifted the cup to test its heat, a sharp, bitter scent cut through the spices. Poison. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Elara did not panic. Panic had no place in survival. Instead, she spilled the wine deliberately, feigning clumsiness. The cup shattered, dark liquid bleeding across the marble. A nobleman hissed in annoyance. A steward cursed. Another servant was struck across the mouth for laughing. No one noticed the way Elara's hands shook as she cleaned the mess. Except one. That night, as she knelt by the servant's hearth, a folded scrap of parchment slid across the floor toward her. "Be careful where you drink." No signature. No threat. A warning. The prince did not speak to her openly. That, too, was deliberate. When they passed in corridors, he acknowledged her with nothing more than a glance, brief, controlled. But sometimes, when no one was looking, his gaze lingered, sharp with concern. It made her more dangerous. Because attention in the palace was currency, and enemies were already counting her worth. Lady Varaine moved through the palace like a shadow wearing silk. She had aged beautifully, her hair silvered just enough to command respect, her voice still honeyed with authority. To most, she was a patron of orphanages, a loyal supporter of the crown. To Elara, she was a memory that tasted of stone floors and false accusations. Their first encounter came without warning. Elara was replacing candles in the gallery when Lady Varaine entered, trailed by perfumed laughter and the rustle of expensive gowns. Elara froze. The noblewoman's eyes landed on her. Recognition flared, fast, vicious, quickly masked. "Elara," Lady Varaine said softly, as though tasting the name. The gallery fell silent. "I thought you were dead," she continued, smiling. "How fortunate you survived." Elara bowed, her pulse roaring in her ears. "As you see, my lady." "How delightful," Lady Varaine replied. "The palace is so forgiving." As she swept past, her fingers brushed Elara's sleeve, light, intimate, threatening. "Careful," she whispered. "Some mistakes don't stay buried." That night, Elara did not sleep. She walked the servants' passages long after curfew, her mind racing. Lady Varaine was afraid. She had seen it, the tightening of her jaw, the flicker in her eyes. Fear meant guilt. Elara followed it. Near midnight, she heard voices echoing through the West Wing, a place servants were forbidden after dark. She slowed, pressed herself into shadow, and listened. "The prince grows reckless," Lady Varaine's voice murmured. "He wanders, he listens. He is a liability." Another voice answered, male, accented. "Then remove him. A public death would spark rebellion." Accidents happen. Elara's blood turned to ice. A third voice joined them. "The street girl." A pause. "She knows nothing," Lady Varaine said. Yet, the man echoed. She is unpredictable. Then she disappears, Lady Varaine replied calmly, as she should have before. Elara's breath caught. Footsteps shifted. Papers rustled. Seals pressed into wax. Elimination during the harvest feast, someone said. Guards will be occupied. The tunnels beneath the East Hall, Lady Varaine agreed. No witnesses. Elara backed away slowly, silently, her heart hammering. She turned and collided with a hand clamped over her mouth. Darkness swallowed her. She woke to cold stone and iron. The palace tunnels smelled of damp and old blood. Chains rattled as she shifted, pain flaring through her wrists. Her head throbbed. A torch burned somewhere beyond her reach. So, Lady Varaine said pleasantly, you do have a talent for surviving. Elara lifted her chin. You were always sloppy. The noblewoman's smile hardened. Pity you won't live long enough to repeat that insult. I heard everything, Elara said. About the prince. About the feast. Lady Varaine sighed. And this is why servants should remain invisible. She turned to leave. You'll be executed before dawn, she said over her shoulder. Quietly. The door slammed shut. Elara sagged against the wall, chest tight. She had escaped worse than this, but never with so much at stake. Prince Alaric would die if she failed. Time passed strangely in the dark. Minutes stretched. Hours blurred. Then, footsteps. Not heavy. Careful. A voice whispered from the darkness. Elara. Her eyes burned with relief. I'm here. Steel flashed. Chains fell away. A young guard crouched before her, eyes wide with fear. I saw them take you. I shouldn't be here. If they find me. You did the right thing, she said, steadying herself. Listen to me. You must warn the prince. The harvest feast. I know, the guard interrupted. He already suspects. That's why he sent me. Her breath hitched. Then help me get to him. The guard hesitated. If they catch you. They won't, Elara said, rising despite the pain. Because I'm done hiding. They slipped into the tunnels, torchlight chasing them. Above them, the palace glittered with preparations for celebration. And beneath it, a conspiracy sharpened its knives. The girl who once slept beneath a lantern was running out of darkness. And the palace was about to burn. The harvest feast began with music. Violins sang beneath vaulted ceilings. Gold-rimmed goblets clinked in polite celebration. Silk and velvet swept across marble floors as nobles laughed too loudly and smiled too easily, their faces lit by chandeliers blazing like captured suns. No one noticed the girl moving along the outer edge of the hall. Elara had changed into a servant's dark uniform taken from the tunnels, her hair pinned tight, her posture lowered just enough to be invisible. Pain flared with every step. Her wrists bruised, her head still ringing, but adrenaline carried her forward. Find the prince. Across the hall, Prince Alaric stood near the high table, crown resting lightly upon his dark hair, his expression calm and unreadable. To the court, he looked every inch the untroubled air. Only Elara saw the tension beneath it. Their eyes met, just for a heartbeat. Something unspoken passed between them, recognition, warning, resolve. Alaric turned slightly, angling his body as if in idle conversation, but his hand brushed the signet ring at his finger. The signal. Proceed. The feast unfolded like a carefully rehearsed lie. Wine flowed. Toasts were raised. Dancers spun, laughter echoing high into the arches. Guards lined the walls in polished armor, unaware that several among them had already been replaced. Elara moved closer to the East Hall doors. She felt it then, a shift in the air, the subtle tightening of bodies. The way Lady Varaine leaned toward a foreign lord and murmured something that made him smile. The signal had been given. The first scream cut through the music like shattered glass. A nobleman collapsed near the musicians, blood blooming across his chest. Chaos erupted instantly, tables overturned, goblets shattered. Guests surged toward exits that suddenly would not open. Smoke poured in from the east corridor. Elara now! Alaric's voice rang out, no longer disguised. The East Hall doors burst inward as armed men poured through, blades flashing in the firelight. The chandeliers trembled as explosions thundered beneath the floor, controlled, precise. The tunnels had been breached. Guards clashed. Steel rang against steel. Elara ran. She dodged panicked nobles, vaulted a fallen bench, slid across wine-slick marble. Flames licked up the tapestries as torches were hurled, smoke choking the air. She reached the dais just as Lady Varaine drew a dagger. Not at the prince. At Elara. You should have died in the street, the noblewoman hissed, lunging. Elara twisted aside, the blade slicing fabric instead of flesh. She grabbed a fallen goblet and smashed it against the floor, glass spraying. Lady Varaine screamed as shards bit into her hand. You framed me, Elara shouted over the chaos. You murdered innocents. And tonight, you plan to murder a king. I plan to save the kingdom, Lady Varaine spat. From a boy who listens to beggars. She swung again. This time, Elara caught her wrist. Strength surged through her, born not of power, but of fury. She slammed Lady Varaine into the banquet table, sending plates and silverware crashing. The noblewoman struggled, snarling like a cornered animal. Listen to me, Elara shouted, turning toward the hall. She conspired with foreign lords. The tunnels beneath the East Hall, documents, seals, proof. An arrow slammed into the column beside her head. Elara ducked as another whistled past. Archers had taken the balcony. Cover her, Alaric commanded. Royal guards surged forward, shields raised. The prince leapt down from the dais, landing beside Elara with sword drawn. You were supposed to stay hidden, he said sharply. She met his gaze, breathless, fierce. I tried that. It didn't work. He almost smiled. Lady Varaine broke free, scrambling toward the exit, but the crowd parted not for her. They turned. Faces hardened. Murmurs spread like wildfire. She said foreign lords. Tunnels. Is that why the guards? Lady Varaine froze. Alaric raised his voice, cutting through the roar. Seize her. She laughed, wild and shrill. You think they'll believe her? A street girl? A discarded maid? Elara stepped forward. I was a maid in your household, she said clearly. You accused me of theft to hide your dealings. I cleaned your floors while you planned treason. And I listened, because you forgot I existed. Guards dragged the noblewoman back as Elara continued, voice steady despite the smoke and fire. There are documents beneath this palace, she said. Sealed letters. Payment records. Names of every man who betrayed this crown. Alaric lifted his sword. Captain, take a unit. Search the tunnels. Now. Lady Varaine screamed as she was pulled away. You can't stop it, even if you survive tonight. Her words were cut off as a final explosion shook the hall. The foreign assassins retreated, their escape routes collapsing behind them. One by one, they were cut down or captured. The fire was contained. The music lay in ruins. Silence fell slowly, broken only by crackling embers and the groans of the wounded. Alaric turned to Elara. Blood streaked her sleeve, not her own. Soot smudged her face. Her eyes burned brighter than any flame. You saved my life, he said quietly. She shook her head. I refuse to let you die for their lies. Guards returned from the tunnels carrying satchels of parchment sealed with foreign crests. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Proof. The truth laid bare. By dawn, Lady Varaine and her co-conspirators were chained in the courtyard, their wealth seized, their power broken. The court stood stunned, stripped of its illusions. Elara stood at the edge of the balcony, watching the sky lighten from black to gray. You could leave now, Alaric said, joining her. No one would stop you. She looked out over the city. I slept in its shadows. I won't run from its light. He studied her for a long moment. Then, slowly, deliberately, Prince Alaric knelt. Gasps echoed behind them. Elara, he said, voice carrying across the courtyard. You saw my kingdom when it was cruel. You defended it when it was corrupt. And you saved it when it was burning. She stared at him, stunned. Alaric, I will not ask you to bow, he continued. I will ask you to stand beside me. The sun crested the horizon, spilling gold across the palace walls. For the first time, the light did not belong only to kings. It belonged to the girl who had once slept beneath a lantern and refused to be extinguished. The kingdom woke to disbelief. By midday, every bell in the capital rang, not in warning, but in reckoning. The harvest feast, meant to celebrate abundance, had instead stripped the palace bare of illusion. Nobles whispered behind fans and folded letters. Merchants argued in the streets. Soldiers stood straighter, uncertain which loyalties had survived the night. And at the center of it all stood a girl who had once slept on stone. Elara did not wake to celebration. She woke to silence. The chamber she had been given overlooked the inner gardens, where fountains murmured softly and roses bloomed as if nothing had changed. Sunlight spilled across the floor, warm and gentle. For a moment, she lay still, waiting for cold stone, for hunger, for the ache of fear. None came. Instead, a knock sounded at the door. "Enter," she said, her voice steady. The servant bowed deeply. "His Highness requests your presence." The council chamber was already full when Elara arrived. Nobles filled the long table, their finery immaculate, their eyes sharp with judgment. The air was thick with restraint, like a held breath before a storm. At the head of the chamber stood Prince Alaric. No, King Alaric, now crowned by dawn in a ceremony so swift it left tradition gasping behind it. He did not sit. He waited. "Elara of no house," Lord Hethron began coldly, "you stand accused of disrupting royal order, provoking violence, and influencing the crown through deception." Murmurs followed. Elara stepped forward, chin lifted. "If truth is disruption, then yes," she said. "I am guilty." Gasps rippled. Alaric raised a hand. "She stands accused," he said evenly, "of saving this kingdom." Silence crashed down. "You would marry her?" another noble demanded. "A former maid. A beggar." "I would," Alaric replied. "And more than that, I will rule with her." Outrage erupted. "She has no bloodline. No training. The people will revolt." Elara listened quietly. She had expected this. Fear always disguised itself as tradition. When the room finally stilled, she spoke. "You are right," she said. "I have no noble blood. I learned politics by scrubbing floors and listening while you forgot I existed. I learned hunger while you debated taxes. I learned loyalty while you planned betrayal." Her gaze swept the chamber. "You fear me because I cannot be controlled." No one denied it. Alaric turned to the council. "You will accept this," he said, not as a command, but as a certainty. "Or you will step aside." One by one, seats scraped backward. The kingdom chose. The wedding was announced at sunset. The city erupted. Lanterns bloomed across the streets, hung in windows, lifted on poles, set afloat in the river like drifting stars. No decree had ordered it. The people remembered the girl beneath the gate. She slept where we were told not to look. She spoke when silence was safer. She is one of us. Elara stood at the palace gate that night, alone. The lantern still hung there. Its glass had been cleaned. Its flame steady. She touched the stone where she once lay, fingers brushing old scratches, old memories. The cold was gone, but the humility remained. "Still burning," she whispered. Footsteps approached. Alaric joined her, no crown upon his head, no guards at his back. Just a man who had walked in shadows and found something brighter than power. "You don't have to look back," he said gently. "I do," she replied. "So I remember why I walk forward." The wedding took place at dawn. No vaulted cathedral. No closed doors. It was held in the palace courtyard, open to the city beyond. Elara wore no jewels save a simple circlet of silver, her gown unadorned but radiant in the morning light. As she walked, the crowd fell silent. Not because she was queen, because she was known. Alaric met her at the center, eyes steady, unguarded. When he took her hands, the bells rang again, not in command, but in celebration. "I vow to rule with you," he said. "To listen where others dismiss. To protect the light when it flickers." Elara lifted her chin. "I vow to speak when silence would be easier. to remember those who sleep in the cold, and to never let this crown blind us. When they kissed, the city roared. Years passed. The palace changed. Doors opened. Laws shifted. Councils widened. Children once turned away at the gates now learned to read within the palace walls. The tunnels beneath the East Hall were sealed, not to hide secrets, but to end them. And every night, without fail, a lantern burned at the western gate. Not as charity, as promise. On a quiet evening, Elara stood once more beneath it, the stone warm beneath her hand. Alaric joined her, older now, lines of worry softened by resolve. "Do you ever miss it?" he asked. "The quiet, the anonymity." She smiled. "I miss the certainty, the clarity of knowing exactly how cold the night would be." He considered that. She turned to him. "But I would not trade this." Above them, the lantern glowed, steady, enduring. A reminder that kingdoms do not rise on blood alone. That light does not belong to the powerful, and that even the smallest flame can change the shape of the world. And in that kingdom, no one was ever again told that the light was not meant for them.